Next, we are going to add a little poster here, something a little bit rectangular. It's going to have the same image as this, so we're going to add it here, and then a few other items to the right to make our details route even better. Outside of my movie details thumbnail, because I'm going to create a new class, and I'm going to create a stateless class here, call this movie details header with poster. A long name, but descriptive. Okay, again, I'm going to have to get a movie object, of course. So I'm going to say final, movie like this, create our constructor. And here I'm going to just pass a row. And this row, actually, I'm going to wrap it with padding. And there's that. Let's see, I want change this to symmetric. Now, what is this symmetric? Well, the symmetric padding, as the name imply, makes it so that whichever axis we choose, could be vertical or horizontal, the padding is going to be symmetric. Okay, so in this case here, I just want the horizontal axis to be, let's say, about 16. You don't have to put a decimal number. Flutter in the backend has ways to convert it to a double. Okay, so if you go like this without, notice it works. So either way, you can make it double or not. That's totally fine. So here I'm going to put our children. This is where we're going to add the actual movie poster. Now, instead of creating the container here and do all the things that we have been doing, I'm going to do the same thing we've been doing, which is creating different classes. So here I'm going to create actually a movie poster, okay, class, which will have a poster parameter, name parameter here. I'm going to pass a movie. I'm going to go to images and just get the first movie. I'm going to make this to string because we are expecting to receive a string URL. Now, this hasn't been created yet. Of course, let's go ahead and create a class. And there we go. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't allow us to create a stateless class, so we'll probably have to do ourselves. And movie poster like that. You can see we're separating our code. That way we have smaller pieces of user interface components. We're having a problem here because we must obviously say final, and it's going to be a string poster like that. And don't forget to create the actual constructor. And you can see now life is good. Okay, there's nothing really is going to happen there yet because we haven't done anything with our build. So right here, I'm going to actually return a card. You remember a card, yes. But did you know that the card also accepts a child? Yes, you knew that. But did you also know that we can actually use a clip or rect? What is this? Well, if we just go and say clip like this or SLI, there's a lot of different options here. Okay, there's clip path, there's clip oval, there's clip rect, which is different from clip R rect like that. Okay, like the first one we have there. Now, the question is always the same. What are these? What are the differences and so forth? Well, again, the whole idea with Flutter is that we have all the tools so we can create customizable user interface. With that, Flutter gives us a lot of different widgets so we can use them. We can create ovals, as you can see, clip oval. You can create that. You can create a path, so lines and so forth, lines that can contour and do all sorts of things. Now let's look at the clip R rect. Click on that. Now the cool thing about clip R rect, you see right away, it gives us the things or the properties or fields that we can pass. We can pass border radius. We've seen that before. We can pass a clipper, clip behavior, and so forth. And of course, we can pass a widget child. What's new? All right, so what are we going to be doing here? First of all, I'm going to pass the border radius. So border radius, and I'm going to say is going to be equal to border radius. Now, we haven't created that. So this is another way for us to separate our code and make it a little bit more cleaner so we can use if we need to use this border radius again, right? We can just create a variable like that, and it's going to be border radius. That all, I'm going to say radius, and circular, I'm going to pass 10. Now let's investigate more about this clip rect. One thing you can do, you can say command and click on that, takes us to the class or the Dart file that comes from Flutter in our libraries, and explains a little bit about what it does. So this is something I will always recommend, okay, to look up, okay, what is it that it does? There's a lot of information here. It says here, it's a widget that clips its child using a rounded rectangle. By default, the clip rect uses its own bounds as the base rectangle for the clip, but the size and location of the clip can be customized using a custom clipper. Also, it even gives us a YouTube link where we can go and watch a little bit about clip R rect. See, there's a lot of information about this. It says also for information about creating custom clips, you can use a custom clip and so forth. So it's always a good idea to come here and look at what it does, the class or the widget that you want to use. And also it gives you the idea of what are the parameters or properties we need to pass for it to work. Okay, it says here we pass border radius, clipper, and behavior, and so forth. And of course, it's always passing a widget child. So it gives us more flexibility to create circular or rectangular, depending on what kind of radius we're passing here, objects or widgets. So for our child, I'm going to pass another container. Oh, yes, we've seen this before. And I'm going to say width. Again, I'm going to use media query because I want flexibility, right? And I'm going to say size. I want the width. Now the width I'm going to divide by 4 because I want the width of these posters to be narrower, right? So it's rectangular. And the height, I'm just going to say 160. You can play around with these, no problem. And I'm going to pass decoration again. We've seen this many times. And I am going to pass the image. Of course, I'm going to pass decoration image. And the image is going to be a network image. And we pass our poster as such. Is that correct? Yes, our URL is going to be the poster. And before I forget, let's make sure that the fit is going to be box or box fit. That is, we want to cover. Okay, let's save that. All right, so now this movie poster here is being called inside of our movie details header with poster, which in turn will be called here. I'm going to come down here. Remember, here I mean inside of a movie list view details, because that's where we're constructing our user interface. I said movie header with poster. That's the one. And of course, I have to pass the movie object like this. Let's save this. And voila. Just like that, you can see now we have the same image, but now it's narrower and looks really nice. Now, this may be a little bit confusing at first. Just remember that our movie list view details is this entire screen here. What we did, we got rid of that raised button because it was just testing. And instead, we pass in a list view because we want to make sure that if there's a lot more information than intended, users will still be able to scroll up and down to get to that information, right? And so what we're doing, instead of putting everything inside here, like coding the movie details thumbnail, we could have done that. We're just separating everything into smaller pieces, in this case, classes. So for our movie details, if you click that, we create a class, we pass the thumbnail, and then now when we call it, here we just pass the thumbnail movie.images and get the first item, and then it shows this. So now, all of the code, the logic, and so forth, is just in one place, one class. If we want to show this somewhere else, we can just call movie details again and movie details thumbnail, pass the thumbnail, and it's going to work. The same thing we did with movie details header with post. And in this case here, we separate even further because we could have done the whole code for movie post, all this code here, but that is just an overkill and that's not a good practice. We decided to just create that class and then pass the poster for our movie and then show that. Okay, so all the code that does all of this magic we've created right now is of course separated here. Very good. In this lecture here, I went a little bit slower, obviously, because I wanted you to really understand what's going on. All right, very nice. So we are making good progress. Next time, we're going to continue adding more text and make this even more beautiful.